Hi, I'm George. Welcome to Mad EV. Today, let's talk about NIO ET9 and the flagship saloon market. If you watched our last video about this flagship EV, you'd know that the ET9 is pretty similar to a Mercedes S-Class, BMW 7 Series, or Audi A8, and it starts from $110,000 in China. Even though NIO calls the ET9 a saloon, its height and ground clearance make it quite different from a typical saloon. So why did NIO design it like this? And is it possible that the flagship saloons in the electric era are bound to look different from traditional ones? Before the NIO ET9, traditional luxury brands like Mercedes and BMW had already explored the design of electric flagship saloons, and they went completely different ways. Mercedes chose to redefine the design. The EQS is nothing like the S-Class, sleek, futuristic, and just like the mouse for your computer, all because they believed that EV must have the best aerodynamics. One thing for sure is that it still has the ride and tech of a classic Mercedes flagship, but due to this design, the rear seat is a disaster. The legroom, headroom, backrest angle, and the side support are nothing good enough for an electric S-Class. And these are very flaws that turn down the flagship saloon buyers. BMW, on the other hand, took a different approach, making EVs the same way they make traditional ICE cars. That's why the 7 Series and the i7 are almost identical. One advantage is that the consumers don't need to spend time to getting used to the new EV look. Plus, the design seems to draw inspiration from Rolls-Royce, giving it a proud stance and a classic feel. However, whether it's a bold Mercedes or the conservative BMW, neither has experienced an easy time. The sales of EQS and i7 in China are both just 10% of the S-Class and the 7 Series. Moreover, EQS already get a 40% price cut in China, and i7 is 25%. When the actual starting price of EQS is even lower than the E-Class, we can see the electric flagship saloon market doesn't seem to like their approaches. So how should an electric flagship saloon be like? As for functionality, it needs a spacious and comfortable rear, easy to get in and out of, and a chassis with top-notch shock absorption and excellent support. Considering the structure differences, EV don't have a big engine but have massive battery underneath. Forcing the height of EV to be as low as a gas car is just impractical, as we saw in the EQS. 100 years ago, flagship saloons that rich people rode in was basically house carriages with an engine, but now they look very different. So technological changes will always lead to changes in design. At this point, when we look back at the NIO ET9 now, we might understand their intent. Firstly, although the ET9 is more than 1.6 meters tall when the ground clearance is 200 mm high, the active suspension can lower the car by up to 50 mm. The suspension travel is even 220 mm long, allowing the shocks to be fully absorbed. So with a big battery and a long suspension, the ET9 cannot be very close to the ground. Secondly, EVs don't need a long front to fit a V8 engine, so the proportion will be different from a gas car. Car design is not just about artistic decisions, it's also about technical decisions for functionality. If a particular function is no longer needed, there's no practical reason to keep the design. Therefore, the NIO ET9 blends the streamlined shape of a saloon with the hefty feel of an SUV. So what are the benefits of doing this? In terms of backseat experience, the ET9 can compete with the Maybach S-Class. Getting in and out is easy. You don't have to bend down like with a saloon or climb up like with an SUV. The cushion is at a knee level, so it's a natural and a comfortable movement. In terms of visibility, the ET9 had an elevated view that traditional saloons don't have. More importantly, the long suspension travel is crucial for fully utilizing the advantages of the active suspension. But the biggest challenge is that consumers will have to accept a completely new form of a saloon, a form that might not even be called a saloon. Regardless of whether NIO ET9 succeeds, it's a bold exploration when EQS and i7 are both somewhat let down. Looking back at the auto industry, every revolutionary progress has been a form of upheaval, hasn't it? For S-cars, the designs are not so different from one another, as they all want to achieve a perfect balance between space, aero, safety, and aesthetic. The current look of S-car is exactly what they should be. But for EVs, it's quite different. The biggest question is whether we should stick to the ICE car design or break the norm. People have been exploring new options, testing the market with each product and iteration, but no one has achieved real success, at least in the electrical flagship saloon market. Now, can a newcomer like NIO have a shot in this uncharted territory? No one knows, but someone has to do it. NIO will be constantly preaching about the idea of this product in the following year. By the end of Q1 2025, we will find out if this odd-looking EV can win the favor of flagship buyers.